Hello, good morning. It's just gone 9:30 a.m. on Tuesday the 9th of February and I'm out on my bicycle for another little mini adventure exploring locally. The whole country is a couple of days into a mini freeze. In fact, a lot of the eastern side of the country has got snow or very icy conditions. Where I am is a lovely blue sky, but the temperature is not forecast to rise above freezing all day. The real factor is the wind. You may hear it over my voice. It's got a real nip to it. I think the wind chill is estimated to be about -8 at the moment. The last week or so I've been trying to increase the distance. I'm starting to look forward to the end of lockdown. I don't know what form that's going to take, but I want to be relatively fit by this time in a month, middle of March say. And so the last week or so I've been increasing the distance up to about 40-45. Today's going to be about nearly a 50-mile ride. I hope by the end of the month I'll be up to about 100 kilometres, maybe 150. Again, trying to stay locally and certainly avoiding social contact. I do like a little theme to my rides. Today's theme is I'm going to be exploring the By Brook. It's a very minor river. The two sources are the Burton Book and the Broadmead Book, and then they become one at Casakum, become the By Brook. I'm going to roughly trace the Broadmead Book. Geography wise, if you imagine the M4 corridor running east to west, west to east between London and South Wales, about 10 miles below that is the A4, pretty much doing the same sort of thing, London to the southwest. The brook is in between those two corridors. In fact, it crosses the A4 just as it comes into Bath. Being a stream or a river, I can't follow it 100% and I don't want to. What I will be doing is following the course of it roughly as close as I can get, running parallel and occasionally cutting across it. One of the things I really want to do is go and have a look where the two brooks join. I don't think you can get to the exact spot, but you can go up a no-through road at Casakum and get very close to it. I've never been there before, so that's one of the main reasons for coming out today. And then I'll follow it into Bath. There's a couple of really nice places I really want to share with you. One of them, I refer to it as the G spot of Bath. Not everybody knows where it is, but when you find it, it's absolutely amazing. I'm on the Bath to Bristol bicycle track at the moment. I'm going to head to Mansfield, then do a very sharp right-hand direction change, ride up Hinton Hill towards the A46, which is where the two sources are very close to, and I'll speak to you there. Apologies for the wind noise, it's quite strong up here. I'm just crossing the Cotswold Way at the top of Hinton Hill, that's east of Church. I'm running parallel to the M4 motorway. In fact, it's just behind the dip, following the line of those pylons heading down towards Bristol. If I zoom in, you'll see the white towers of the Severn Bridge, what's now the M48 bridge, and in the distance, less obvious, the new Severn Bridge. I've crossed the A46. I'm now passing through the small hamlet of West Littleton. That's looking back towards the A46 and the M4 would be off to the right. I'll shortly be joining the course of the Broadmead Book. It actually rises just above the A420, the Bristol to Chippenham Road, just after it's crossed over the A46 actually. I'll put a little map on the screen now. I'm not going to go to the source because that's literally off course and it's not a particularly great place to cycle the A420. What is going to be good is shortly I'm going to be going down through some really nice villages as I head down towards Casakum. I'm now passing through the lovely little hamlet of West Littleton. I've literally just crossed the A46. You can see the course of the M4 just in the near distance. It's just behind those pylons running there, right to left. This is like a little bit of the Cotswolds or even Yorkshire Dales. It's all Cotswold stone, as you can see. They've got these lovely village greens, telephone box, defibrillator behind it. Look at this. This is it then, the Broadmead Book Valley. Just gonna cross it down there. Amazes me to think this is just literally a couple of miles away from the busy M4. I wonder how many people know this is here. Look at this, delightful, the Broadmead Brook. Passing right underneath it here on this track. How clear is it? It's not far from its source, just a couple of miles behind me. Heading down that way towards Casakum. I'm heading up this way. This is like the opening scene from a James Herriot episode. Delightful. Just about to leave this little minor track. There's a stream flowing down there. I'm just about to join this main road here. Same main road, it's a country lane. The wind chill is off the chart. It's so cold on my face. Not sure if it's going to pick it up, but there's snow starting to fall as well. Just very small flakes. I'm trying to do most of the filming with my gloves on, which is a bit difficult with the touchscreen. Take my gloves off about a minute and the hands get so bitterly cold. Now in the village of West Kington, so I followed the river along the high ground and I've dropped back down into the valley, this delightful spot. How's this for a bit of paradise? That's really nice, this lovely garden. Please enjoy, but respect our garden. Thank you. Thank you very much. I am enjoying it very, very much. What a beautiful little bit of water's meet here. Although it's bitterly cold, riding into that easterly wind, signs of spring everywhere, look. First signs of buds on the tree, snowdrops all along there. Just a few yards along from that lovely garden, we're actually crossing the river here. This is Tjunction Hill as it comes through the village and then climbs back out that way. That's the way we're heading. Look at this delightful spot though. There's a clue there to one of the things this river is very, very well known for. As usual, I'll put any sources and links in the description below. There's a couple of fairly good web pages telling you about it. The one thing lacking really is any good maps. I've tried to make up a couple myself. Oh, look at that lovely pastely thatched cottage. Once again, M4 literally just over the brow of that hill, about a mile or so. Just before we start climbing up Tjunction Hill, look at this lovely little green by the river. Couple of nice chairs there to just sit and chill out, watch the world go by. Looks like it's going to be quite a good display of daffodils over there in a matter of weeks. Popular with ducks as well. How's this for a beautiful spot though? Overlooking the stream. We're going to be running down that way. Again, another lovely little seat there just to sit and contemplate. Hiya. Hiya. This is a lovely wooded section between Burton and Casakum. I pulled in and let those cyclists go by, pulled my face mask up, gave them plenty of room. This is just too nice to be rushing anyway. I'm happy just to stop whenever I have to be honest. I've just ridden from Burton through those woods along this road behind me and now at this T-junction. Casakum that way. I've got that strange perception that I recognise some of these roads because I know them quite well from long Audaxes. I would be heading that way, say back to Bath after long Audax. The route's just brought me north, which sounds a bit counterintuitive, but I'm just crossing the river again. Look at this lovely spot. That's what I love about exploring. You knit together bits of roads you know, but in different directions with a different purpose, and it just alters the whole perspective. What a truly beautiful spot. The water's so clear as well. It's amazing to think that's heading down ultimately to my hometown, the outskirts of my hometown. I'm gonna, towards the end of the video, I'm gonna go as close to the mouth as I possibly can. I think we'll be able to get within a few hundred yards of it. I'm now on this very long straight stretch of country lane. It's actually part of the Fosseway, an old Roman road. And I remember years ago bumping into some cyclists who were actually following it as far as they could from the Midlands. I think it took some really busy roads through the Midlands, Derby and places like that, A38 possibly, and then it goes down to Yeovil and then becomes part of the 303, I think. Just makes me realise, a thought just struck me. People have been using this road for thousands of years, at least 2,000 years. And today I can do about a 50-mile circuit because of pneumatic tyres and navigation and good quality roads. Whereas once upon a time, probably where travellers were travelling this road, maybe in wooden wheeled carts, possibly stopping by the river, you know, just to spend the night or maybe even a few days to replenish and gather water. Just suddenly struck me that it may be quiet now, but this was probably the M5 of its day 2,000 years ago. Talking about motorways, it's been main routes for transport. You can just hear the constant roar of the M4 behind me. I'm probably within about half a mile of it here. I've been hearing it pretty much ever since I've left the bike track. Sometimes when you drop down in the valleys it goes really quiet, but there's just that constant roar of it. I'm now about a quarter of a mile further along the Fossway. I've just passed the second of the brooks. Here it is, running right alongside. I've sort of lost track now whether this is Burton Brook or Broadmead Book. Really will need to check this when I get home, but you can see it's flowing down that way. Shortly over the other side of that hill I'll be turning down and heading roughly that way towards Casakum, even though at the moment I'm heading this way, if that makes sense. More water running off the fields, joining it. I'm just heading up that way to the main road where I think I'll be doing a right and then eventually getting to Casakum. I carried on up the Frostway to a crossroads that's called the Gib, I think, or Gib. It's G-I-B-B. Carry on, it would pass under the M4, which is just over the brow of that hill. Again, you can hear the roar of it here. So I turn right there, a mile or so, and now I'm turning right down into Casakum, and this is where the two brooks join. I'm going to try and find roughly that location. Casakum is very popular with tourists because of its association with the film Dr. Dolittle, starring Rex Harrison. So we're going to drop down there. It really is nice. I'll stop and give you a view of the high street. I've just dropped down into the lovely village of Casakum. And this is the classic shot. You'll often see postcards and photographs taken from back there facing this way. This is like the market square, and I've never been up there. This is where I'm going to go up a dogleg, go up and do a little bit of a circuit, go up that way, meet another road at a T-junction, carry on up, and it's a no-through road. I think that's where I'll get close to where the two rivers meet, and then come down the other side of the church and join this road a bit further down. This is a classic spot, favourite with a lot of the tourists. Straight out of the Dr. Dolittle film. That's heading back up towards the square. Right, so I tried to turn off left and it takes you through a manor hotel and it looks like it's private property. I was going to come the other side of the river, there you can see it up there, and it comes out this way, so I'm going to try the opposite. I'm going to try and go through that way and possibly come out the top way. If it's private property I won't proceed. Well, I was hoping to get further up near where the two brooks meet, but it's just not going to be possible. This is actually private property, the manor house, and it's clearly closed at the moment anyway. Automated gate, it's alarmed. What would possibly be possible theoretically is to go up this way and come out the other side of the hotel, you may get a clearer view of where the two rivers meet. This is going to have to be good enough for me today, unfortunately. When I was plotting out the GPS route, I was thinking, I've never been up there. I wonder what stopped me from ever going up there, because I quite often do follow my nose, and now I realise it's just not possible. I always say when I do my adventures and exploring, I will never trespass on private property. So this is as far as I can get. Unfortunately, whether in the summer and the hotel's open, they may let me go up through, I just don't know. I may try again, but having said that, you definitely get the feel for it here. It's a lovely spot. Even though I didn't get through the manor hotel grounds, I'm actually quite chuffed to have seen that sign, the first indication of it being called the By Brook. This place is normally full of tourists. I mean, I know it's the first week of February, but I think it's more to do with lockdown. Just nobody about. It's actually quite nice having it to myself. Look at that. That's the classic postcard view. Just before I leave Casakum, just take a few minutes just to look back and take this site in and really savour it. So that's the way I've come, and the two streams are now as one. They're flowing towards Bath. A slight problem I had trying to design this route was the wiki page. I'll put the link in below in the description, but it says the river starts from two sources, the Burton Brook and the Broadmead Book. So it's mostly the Broadmead Book I've been following today. I find trying to trace the course of the two streams, the Broadmead Book is actually marked on Ordnance Survey maps and on Google Maps and Ride with GPS, but the Burton Brook wasn't. It seems to just been called By Brook all the way upstream to its source. Anyway, no more confusion now. It's going to be the By Brook all the way through Ford, Slaughterford, and then it's going to run alongside the A4 in towards Bath. There's a couple of really beautiful spots I'm going to share with you just before we get to Bath, and then I'll try and trace it as it flows into the River Avon at Bath Ford on the outskirts of Bath. The road I'm taking out of Casakum towards Ford is climbing quite steeply up this wooded side of the valley. We're already looking down at the By Brook. It's a really nice drop, a waterfall there on the outskirts of Casakum. So a bit of a grind along here, then we drop down and cross the A420 at Ford. I'm now at the lovely location of Ford. So I climbed quite steeply out of Casakum, and then it drops down the road, crosses the busy A420, staggered crossroads, and then it comes down to Ford. And this is the White Hart at Ford, right next to the river By Brook, hence the name Ford. Must have been quite an important crossing in its day. Just beyond the White Hart Garden at Ford, you get an indication of what's happening. The road forks here, and we're heading that way to Slaughterford, so you can imagine there's going to be an uphill and a downhill to the next crossing place of the river. It's pretty rutted and bumpy up there. This gives you an idea of the terrain, the severity, the bumpiness and the steepness of the road. Snow's coming on quite heavy. That was a very steep climb through the woods out of Ford, and then I've dropped back down to the river. This is coming into Slaughterford. Look how beautiful this is. I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but the snow's started to fall quite heavily actually, because these roads are untreated, especially back there. It's starting to settle a little bit. I may have to change my plans. As John Betchman famously said in one of his travel films, I do hope you're enjoying this journey as much as I am. More narrow, steep rutted tracks up through the woods, following the course of the river, looking down from the valley down onto it. gorgeous. Feels like being in mid Wales or a national park or something. Look in the distance there, how high the hills are. Again, I wonder how many people drive down that road and know this is even here. I know the pandemic's been terrible, but there are going to be positives to come out of it, and one of them for me has been I've actually taken the trouble to explore a lot closer to home, revisit places I haven't been to for many years, and also just go down some of those turnings where I've always thought, I wonder where that goes, I must go there sometime. Well, the pandemic's pretty much forced me to do that. I'm now on the other side of Slaughterford, and I was running along a road which follows the valley that way. You can see how beautiful it is here, and it said no through road. My Garmin pointed me down there. I was happy with that, but it then turned into a muddy track, and I don't know how far that goes. It just seemed prudent to overwrite the route and come this way, which is actually signposted Biddeston. When I get to Biddeston, I know I'll be near the A4. That might have been okay down there, but the snow's starting to settle, and also I haven't got a front light on me. I really need to get home before lighting up time. I'm now on the A4, Chippenham to Bath Road, and this is the top of Box Hill. I'm actually going to be going down now, looking down at the valley there. Halfway down Box Hill, by the garage, just before you get to Hedgerow Lane and the bus stop there, I'm taking this right hand turn and I'm going to drop down here into the valley. You may see the road in the distance, that's snaking up to Colour in there. We won't be going that way, I hope not anyway. Then I'm going to drop down into the valley and then pick the river up. That's a super steep drop down off the A4. You may see the line of the hill just up there. That really is straight down, and we're back in the river valley. Look at it here, flooding all the fields there. Little drop waterfall by all these snowdrops. It's flowing really quite fast. You can see it must be dropping at quite a rate. Here we are, heading towards Bath. It's got about a mile and a half, I guess, to go till it flows into River Avon. Gosh, this just looks very high and flooded. I'm just going by that tree in the middle. It looks like it's probably part of a little island there. Wow. Just do a 360 the way I've just come. The river heading towards Bath. That's the way I'm going. I hope I'm not going straight up. I hope I'm going that way. And that's the way I've been following the river. That's looking back up valley, the way I've come. Somewhere from left to right of the screen in the near distance would be the A4. That's looking up at Cullen. This is following the course of the river, which is now down on my left. Wow, this is like 4 seasons in one day. It's gone back to blue skies now. I thought I was going to have to make a dash along the A4 for Bath. I've just come in this way, heading up towards the A4 there, which I'm going to join shortly. And here we are, back over the By Brook. You can see it's flowing quite fast. I've just done about 3/4 of a mile on the A4, and now I'm turning down towards Shockwick, back down to the river. It's one of my favourite spots here. Look at the hills rolling up towards Bannerdown. I can't believe what a lovely afternoon it's turned into. And just a short distance from the A4, this is what I call the G spot of Bath. We're about less than a mile from the boundary of the city, and there's this amazing waterfall drop sluice. It's the main road going in there. That's Kingstown there, coming into Bath and Bradford-on-Avon. Shockwick is up there, the village. That's heading up towards Bannerdown. We're heading this way into Bath. Just a few yards from that bridge. Look at this, all the water flowing down off the fields. That'll be making its way down into the stream. I've just come in that road there, I think that's called Morris Lane, and it's about to join the bottom of Bannerdown. You could get to Bannerdown that way, or you may see the cars zooming down that way. That's the very steep drop from Cullen down into Bath Easton. In fact, it's part of the Fosseway still. I'm going to take this road and it brings us down on the A4 in a slightly different place. You may see Bathampton in the far distance. That hill going up there is Bathampton down with the transmitters up there. I've just dropped down this hill steeply, Morris Lane. This is where it joins the old A4 at the boundary to Bath Ford. This used to be Bath to London main road. It's now been bypassed. There's the Bath Eastern bypass that way. I should be heading back to Bath that way. Before I do that, I'm going to go along here over that roundabout, and just past that is where the By Brook River flows into the River Avon. I'm going to try and find the spot roughly anyway. I've just crossed over that roundabout and I've gone underneath the railway. That's the Bristol to Paddington line, and this is our last view of the By Brook. Just over the other side of that bridge on the meadows would be the River Avon flowing in from Bradford on Avon that way to Bath that way. The driftwood there blocked gives you a bit of an idea of its flow rate. Just over there then is where it joins the River Avon. This is more about Bath Ford, but I think it's going to tell you more about By Brook. I think I mentioned it at the beginning of the film. By Brook can either be two words, B-Y Brook, or sometimes it's written down as the one word, By Brook. I'm going to take a photograph of this and study it when I get home because my hands are absolutely freezing. At this spot, I'm going to retrace back to London Road, turn left, head back into Bath to my home. My hands are absolutely freezing now. I'm quite keen to get home. The battery on the phone just has informed me it's getting very, very low. Till next time, look after each other. See you soon.